Hello and welcome at our GCP-Mindset channel. Today we speak about an extraordinary topic, the impact of war on clinical research. Yesterday I listened to a very nice presentation of Joanna Wilinska and asked her directly if she wants to join our YouTube channel and make an interview with me, and she followed my invitation.
Thank you very much, Andreas, for this invite, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Hi, Joanna. Thanks for being here to talk with me about the impact of war on clinical research. You gave yesterday a very nice presentation. And tell me, why did you have the idea of this topic?
I think it's very important to share with everyone about the situation that happened, that is happening since February in Poland, especially because since the war started, 3 million people from Ukraine fled to Poland to seek shelter, but many of them were also participants of clinical trials in Ukraine. And what I found amazing was that then so many people got together to make sure that the treatment for those patients can be continued and that they would be well taken care of.
Okay. You are coming from Poland?
Yes, I'm coming from Poland.
Okay. Where are you located there?
In Gdynia, which is in the north of Poland, next to Gdańsk.
Okay. And do you also have a lot of Ukrainians now?
Yes, there are significantly more than before, because also before some people moved already to Poland. I would say in the first days, majority of them were located like next to the border. So they were coming and then they just needed to take rest, actually, after all the trauma that they went through. And then they distributed through, the whole region to all the bigger and smaller cities.
Yeah, I can imagine that they have a lot of other problems than clinical research. So why did you come to this topic actually? Why is somebody interested in clinical research for these patients?
So I have to admit that it wasn't my first thought once the war started to think about clinical research then, right? But there were people who immediately thought about it, and there is a Facebook group in Poland for people who are related working in clinical research field. And since the second day already, people were posting about others who came from Ukraine and they would like to continue in the trials. I mean, you might say it's not the most important topic, but if it comes to health and those people had some serious diseases, the treatment was on their priority list, of course, next to having a roof above their head and food. But for some of them, if they were benefiting from the trials being in Ukraine, and they didn't want to lose this opportunity to continue.
Yeah. I completely agree. Of course, it's an important topic. And I mean, patients sign an informed consent because we told them we have a positive risk-benefit profile of the study. And now, due to the war, it stops. And what happened then was the benefit of the patients. So patients did not join just for fun because they should benefit from the study. So tell me more about the Facebook discussion.
Yeah, of course. Those patients consented to participate in studies in Ukraine because the benefit to risk ratio was evaluated as positive. And it was also very important that after they come to Poland, this risk benefit ratio needs to be re-evaluated by the sponsor and by the investigator to make sure that it's still beneficial for them to continue. So back to the Facebook discussion. I found it really inspiring and kind of touching how many people felt the need to go the extra mile to really make a difference for those patients. And very early, already 3 associations in Poland, which is an association of Polish Good Clinical Practice, an association for employers for contract research organizations, and of innovative pharmaceutical companies, they came together to the conclusion that guidelines are needed or recommendations are needed. And they started to work on them right away. This initiative was also supported by the Agency for Medical Research and then also Commissioner for Patients' Rights. But even though the draft was ready, I think maybe 10 days later, it still required some work. So people couldn't wait such a long time, for it to become final. So they were brainstorming and trying to get expertise from other people. Like, hey, what do you think would be the best idea? How we cope with some specific situations that they were facing at the time. So, for example, there were posts there that a patient from Ukraine came and that he signed consent for the study in Ukraine. Now there is a site that would be willing to take him, for him to continue. But what do we do? What do we do with the ICF? Yeah, this was, I think, number one topic because we know how vital it is, right? So there was a discussion, should he sign a Polish informed consent? But yeah, he consented already for the study, but the ICF is locally approved, so the Polish consent might be a bit different than the Ukrainian one. Another thing is the GDPR, which is an European Union law, which was not in the ICF in Ukraine. People were wondering maybe they should do the same process as with a person who cannot read, to have an interpreter there, to have a witness there, to really well document this process and so on and so forth. In the end, I think also ethics committees and competent authority, they were also willing to help and to discuss what is needed to somehow be able to also take care of those patients before the final recommendations were available.
And that the competent authorities agrees with it, that is for me the most surprising, because I think especially the EU competent authorities are so bureaucratic in the meanwhile. When you see the new CETUS system, which is more bureaucratic than the old system, I'm really surprised that they are so flexible to support that process.
Yeah, I think special situations require special measures, and they were aware of it. I think we had an example of it also when COVID started. So there needed to be some extra solutions. There needed to be some flexibility, even for the most bureaucratic institutions. Right?
Okay. So, but actually it's for the patients who started the study in Ukraine, then the war came and they can continue the study in Poland now.
Yes, they can. If the same study is running also at the Polish sites, and then this patient can be transferred from the Ukrainian side to the Polish side.
Okay.
Considering that they came to Poland after 24th of February 2022, so after the war, it would not apply for patients who came to Poland earlier.
Okay. And does it apply also for Ukraine patients who were not in the study yet?
So
for new studies, I mean?
Yeah, so for patients who were not in the study and they would like to start participation, it is of course possible. But I guess it would not be such an urgent matter, let's say. It would be just like with any other patient that would like to start in a study. And the crucial part was if we have a patient already in the study on a treatment schedule, and for this treatment not to be interrupted and for the visit schedule to be kept, let's say, as compliant as possible.
Yeah. Do you think it's also possible that the patients can be retransferred to Ukraine if the war would be over?
I think if they would like to come back home, which I can imagine, then another guidelines would be needed or recommendations for them to be able to go back to those sites. I'm not sure about the situation in Ukraine now, because those studies were probably stopped or so we had study halt. Maybe then they need to deal with the regulatory work to have them restarted and so on and so forth. But if we are talking about long-term studies and continuation of the treatment, then I think, it would be possible.
Okay.
Also, some patient might just be deciding to stay until they finish, in Poland, I mean.
Yeah, but this can also be a very nice example in terms of flexibility for other cases. It's not only war, it can also be a natural catastrophic situation where patients need to leave their homes, go into another country and want to continue with the study.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also why it is important to talk about this, because some people might learn from it for the future events of natural disasters or other events that we are not even thinking about, like we were not expecting this to happen, where a lot of people have to leave their homes and just move somewhere.
Okay, by the way, how do they handle the IMP? I mean, they sent it to Ukraine, but they need it now in Poland. How can they move the medication from one country to the other?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it was actually part of the recommendations that were published. Because of the situation, it was impossible to transfer the IMP from Ukrainian sites to the Polish sites. So it was responsibility of the sponsor to make sure that they are able to deliver more IMP to Polish sites, also that it wouldn't have an influence on the Polish patients already participating in the study.
Okay, and how is it labeled?
Good question. It would be labeled in Polish because it would be sent to Polish sites.
Yeah, according to Polish regulation.
Yeah. According to the labels that were approved by competent authority.
Okay, can you remember other Facebook content which was interesting?
Yes, there were two other stories which I remember very well, which I found also very inspiring. So one was about a patient who already participated in clinical research in Ukraine. And so the person was looking for a site that was conducting a particular protocol, study under particular protocol. And there was also an update later to it. And it turned out that with the help of people, in 12 days, the visit was organized, the ICF was signed with an interpreter being there, and the IMP was given to the patient. So it was extraordinary, really, that such things could happen way before the recommendations were published, and that we could really see and kind of live the history of some of those patients.
12 days is really impressive.
It is, it is. Especially under those circumstances.
Yeah.
And then the second story was not about clinical research, but about an 8-year-old boy who was treated for cancer in Ukraine, and they had like only 8 tablets left for the treatment. And they were trying to find a way to get the medication for him because apparently it was not that easy in Poland. But then again, there was an update that the 30 tablets were secured and that the boy with his family was coming to Poland to continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Joanna, for sharing the experience from Poland with us. It was very heart-touching, especially, I mean, it fits very good to this Christmas time now.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas, for having me here and taking the time to talk about this important topic. And I think maybe I can also say a big thanks to everyone involved in all that was happening in Poland since February this year.
Thank you. And I hope that you liked our video. I wish you a very nice Christmas time. Don't forget to subscribe our channel and see you the next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.